Hi there, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. On this video, we're going to talk about Monopoly, the Monopoly board as you can see on my screen right here. So before we get started, I'm going to ask you kindly to pull up your handy dandy notepad. If you can't find your notepad on your PC, it should be right here. Search it up, type notepad, and just click on this one. If you have sticky notes, that's also perfect, as long as you can take down notes, okay? Now, if you don't have any notepads installed, let's just say for some reason you don't have, you can use a pen, a pencil, normal paper, any paper on your houses, and just manually write down notes because it's really important because these are the tips and tricks I'm going to tell you how to win the Monopoly game. But first, I'm going to teach you the basics for your understanding, and then I'm going to give you the tips and tricks, okay? So as you can see here, I have my own notepad, and it has actually notes here. If you want to pause a video and copy the notes, however, I'm gonna go past them. I'm gonna browse through them one by one so you can understand what are these notes for. And then you can just rewrite them on your own understanding, okay? So let's get started. As you can see here, I have a Monopoly board on my screen. It's actually from my games, nokiro.com, so I can give you a preview how it looks like. Okay, as of now, I have this much of money. I think it's around 1,000. So 500, 100, 50, 20, 10. Yes, starting money is 1,500 each. So I just picked two players, one for me and one for a computer. I'm not actually gonna play, I'm just gonna show you the basics. So as you can see here, each player starts on the go signal right here. This is the starting point, so you go from here and you go around the board, each and every dice. It's just like any board game with the dice. Now please take note, each of these properties right here has different colors, going from starting from brown, light blue, purple, orange, red, yellow, green, and the most expensive one of course is the dark blue. Now please take note also there are two deck of cards here. The blue ones and the orange ones. The one with the question mark and the one with the treasure chest. Now the one with the treasure chest we call them community cards. The one with the question mark and the orange background we call them chance cards. There are different cards that you pull each of game if you pass through this board sign right here. For example, this question mark, it says chance, and for the blue one says community chest. Now, since I have already given you an idea here, I'm going to pull out a better image of the board, okay? This one right here. Now, going forward, as I've mentioned, you're starting from a go signal, and then you should end around here again and go back. Please take note, tell your banker that you collect $20 salary as you pass. So that being said, for this game, it only actually takes up to 8 players. Now, one of the each 8 players can be the banker. If no one wants to be the banker and all 8 players want to play, you should get one more player or one more banker technically who doesn't play. And I suggest you cannot ask someone to be the banker and a player at the same time so you will avoid conflict. Anyway, let them know that as you pass this go sign, go back again, and you'll receive $2 salary as you pass. Okay? So let's discuss everything here. I'm gonna pull up my handy dandy notepad right here, put it right here. Perfect. So please take note that there are two sides of the board, so you don't have to be confusing. This is the number one trick. Now, those are two sides right here. The jail side and the board side. Let me just pull this one up so we can discuss it properly. Give me a second here. I'm gonna open it with paint. There you go. So guys, please take note that there are two sides of the game, so you won't have any problem tracking on your own. So over here, we're gonna call it the jail side. Jail side is right here, the starting point over here. This one right here is the jail side. Okay? Let me just highlight my marker more quickly. Now, the other side should be this one. We call it the board side or the go side from the red properties to the blue properties. So this is the go side and this is the jail side. Let me just change the color of the go side so it won't be any confusing. So this is the go side and the other one of course is gonna be the jail side. Okay? Now let me just remove those markers. Please note that the number one strategy I'm gonna give you guys is always buy on the jail side. So let me rephrase that. Always buy properties over here. Okay? This is the number one tip I can tell you. This is the jail side again. Properties from orange to brown or brown to orange are the best properties to buy. Why, you ask? Because upon computing, upon taking notes of probability and statistics, if you start at go side, the dice probability always ends up here. You don't end up here because it's only 6 by 6. It's gonna be 12 steps, right? 12 turns. This is the most steps you can make on starting. And every one or each time you pass here, you always go back here. There's a chance that you always go back at go. You don't pass go. You don't go way past go. Every turn you made or every rotation you made on the board, there's a high chance that you always go back starting at go over here. Okay? Now, please take note that each of the property has property cards. Let me just pull up the property cards right here. There you go. So you can have an idea on what it looks like moving forward. Let me just pull up my property cards right there. Why is it not going? There you go. Okay. Now, these are the sample of property cards. They're not exactly the same name because as you can see here, New York Avenue, there is no New York Avenue here. Oh, there you go. So, they're gonna be purple, orange, yellow, green, blue, red, and violet. Okay then? So please take note you also have train station and electric company, which are these four right here. Electric company over here, train station on these two right there. Again, there is also waterworks. So they work as a pair. If you buy all four train stations, you're gonna own higher value if players go past them. Okay? Now I'm gonna explain the houses first. Let's just focus on the houses. As you can see here on the New York Avenue, the rent is $16. What is that rent? Rent is whenever a player stops by your property. For example, right here, as you can see on the New York Avenue, if a player went here or your opponent went here, if he dies up and then he stops at the New York Avenue, without a house, they should be paying you $16. And then, if you have one houses, two houses, and so on and so forth, if you came up with the hotel, that's the big time right there. It's $1,000 if they stop right there. However, you can only get a motel. Please take note, guys. You can only get a motel if you have houses on all of the four or all sets colors of the property. Because as you can see here, they have actually three, if I'm not mistaken. Each property has three colors. You can only get a hotel if you have all three properties. Please take note of that. Now, second tips I want to tell you guys is, of course, take note what cards are drawn. So what are these cards I'm talking about? These are the chance and community chest cards. Let me just pull up my image right here so I can talk to you about it. So this is the chance card. Let me just pull up the prop community right here. Perfect. Now, community and chance. These are the orange and the blue earlier. As you can see here, please take note whichever are pulled, because they're not gonna be going back on the deck unless all of the deck are finished. Please think note of that. I think there are two cards on the chance and one card on the community chest that gives you access to a specific location. Let me see right here. As you can see, community chest. Your show is a go. So on the community chest card, if you pull this one, you're going back to the go position. Please take note if you pull up this card right here, wherever your character is on the board, you go back on the go, you earn a salary of 200, you do a reset on the board. So again, please take note which cards are drawn before they're rearranged on the deck. That's number two tips I can give you. Now, number three tip is what to buy and what not to buy. Again, earlier this is the buy property on the jail side. Of course, do not buy property on the go side. Another tip I can tell you is houses you expect to sell. As you can see, as you saw earlier, let me just pull up my other image right here. This is the trading 1 and then the trade 2. As you can see here, there are houses on the trade 2. Do not buy houses if you're expecting to sell them in a sooner decision. For example, if you bought houses on the Baltic Avenue right here, please do not buy them unless you're sure you're keeping them for a hotel property. For example, you bought here, Do not buy houses if you're not aiming to get a hotel. That being said, let's move on to the trade 2. This is the other tip I can give you. Let me just pull up my trade. Let me just remove other things here. There you go. So trade option. What are trading? Trading are two parts of in Monopoly. First part is offensive, second part is the trading defensive. Offensive is pursuing third color property so you can get a hotel. Of course, for the defensive is the vice versa. Trading for the third orange property so the player who has two doesn't get all three. Avoid getting them a hotel. Let me just highlight that for you guys. You need to avoid getting him a hotel. That is the one and one only rule for your opponent to avoid. Do whatever it takes for your opponent not to get a hotel, because hotels are pretty expensive. As you can see here, for one property only, the hotel costs 750 payment for each player that lands there. So the tip number one for the trading is, for example, you have two purple cards, one orange, one blue, and your opponent has two blue, one purple, two orange. Now, you can trade them up. For example, I'm gonna trade you the orange and blue so you can get the two property sets that can get hotel. So your blue and orange can have hotel, right? Because that's my offer. And now, just let me have the one yellow or one violet one. So I can get a hotel on the violet one. This may seem a bad deal because your opponent gets 6 properties with hotels and you only get one. However, please take note. Let me just pull up the next one. On the next one, if you get this, you have an extra money to get all houses on your property where your opponent leaves you broke. Because as you can see here, he gives you $400 in return of those items right there, and you have $1,000 in final total of money once the trade has been made. So with that $1,000, you can buy houses, 3 houses for each property, and then wherein your opponent on all of his property, all 6 property, even though they are sets, they're still on rent amount. Please take note, they're still on rent amount if they're not having any houses, okay? As you can see here, this is a good deal at the long run, but in the first timer part of this deal, it's a pretty bad deal because you gave your opponent a lot of option to buy hotels right there wherein you only have one set of property. However, again, you have houses at the start or at the end of this deal because you have $1,000 after the deal. And that's it. That's one of the tips and tricks and how to use Monopoly or how to play Monopoly on your own. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you for watching, guys.